It is midsummer and your thriving cucumbers and roses suddenly wear a white powdery mask, the sign of a fungal attack gardeners call the White Death. The industry answer is expensive, toxic sprays that contaminate your soil and cost a fortune. But a single spoonful of baking soda tucked away in your kitchen can halt this plague with nothing more than simple chemistry. If that is true, why do the shelves remain lined with hazardous chemicals? The answer reveals a silent struggle over the future of your harvest and the science every gardener deserves to know. Powdery mildew isn't just a nuisance dusting, it is a living organism with a singular purpose: to feed. The most common culprit in home gardens is Podosphira xanthii, a fungus that targets cucumbers, squash, pumpkins, and melons. On roses and ornamentals, Diplocarpon rosae causes black spot, but powdery mildew remains the most visible threat, painting leaves with a ghostly white film. These fungi thrive in warm, humid air and settle on the surface of leaves, never needing to invade deep tissue. Instead, they send out thread-like hyphae across the leaf, drawing out water and nutrients directly from the plant's cells. What makes these pathogens so successful is their preference for a very specific environment. Powdery mildew spores germinate best when the leaf surface is slightly moist and the air is humid, but not dripping wet. Unlike many plant diseases, they do not require rain. They only need the dew of a summer morning. Their real secret, though, is pH. Both Podosphira xanthii and Diplocarpon rosae are adapted to neutral or slightly acidic conditions. On a pH scale, they favor the range between 5.5 and 7.0, which matches the natural state of most garden leaves. This narrow window is where their spores can stick, germinate, and send out their feeding tubes. Dr. David M. Kaduri, a plant pathologist at Cornell University, has spent decades studying these invaders. He explains that powdery mildew's entire strategy relies on exploiting the microclimate of the leaf surface. The fungus forms a fine, powdery mat, sheltering itself from sunlight and wind. Under a microscope, the surface resembles a crowded city. Spores wait to launch. Hyphae weave through stomata, all optimized for rapid spread. A single infected leaf can produce thousands of spores in days, each ready to drift on the slightest breeze to new hosts. This relentless expansion is why outbreaks can engulf entire beds of squash or roses almost overnight, leaving gardeners desperate for a way to break the cycle. When a gardener reaches for baking soda, they are not just sprinkling a household staple, they are launching a chemical counterattack. The secret is pH. Baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, dissolves in water to create a solution with a pH of about 8.3. For powdery mildew, this is hostile territory. Fungal cells are built to thrive in environments that match the natural acidity of plant leaves, usually between 5.5 and 7. Raise the pH above that, and the fungus faces a sudden shock. This shock is more than discomfort, it is a breakdown at the cellular level. Under a microscope, the story unfolds in real time. When exposed to an alkaline solution, the fungal cell wall cannot keep up with the change. Water rushes out of the cell, the membrane pulls away from the wall, and the cell collapses in on itself. Scientists call this plasmolysis. The fungus does not die from poison, it dries out, loses structure, and can no longer infect the plant. This is why baking soda works best as a prevention or at the very first sign of infection. Once the fungus is established, the damage is already done, and the collapsed cells cannot be revived. There's a stronger cousin to sodium bicarbonate, potassium bicarbonate. Professional growers often prefer it because it delivers the same alkaline punch without the risk of sodium buildup in the soil. Potassium bicarbonate is even more effective at disrupting fungal growth, and it is less likely to cause leaf burn if used correctly. Still, for most home gardeners, sodium bicarbonate remains the hero, affordable, accessible, and surprisingly powerful when mixed and applied with care. The science is clear. Change the chemistry, and you change the outcome. Fungal spores that might have blanketed a squash bed in days can be stopped cold by a simple shift in pH. What starts as a white powder in a kitchen cabinet becomes a line of defense, working not by brute force, but by tipping the balance of nature back in the plant's favor. In the late 1980s, greenhouse benches at Cornell University became the proving ground for an idea that would ripple through the world of plant pathology. Dr. R. Kenneth Horst, a professor of plant pathology at set out to test whether a simple, food-safe compound could rival the performance of industrial fungicides. His team prepared rows of roses and cucurbits, each inoculated with powdery mildew, or black spot. The treatments were precise. They used sodium bicarbonate at a 1% solution, paired with a small amount of horticultural oil to help it adhere to leaves. Control groups received no treatment, while other benches were sprayed with copper or synthetic chemicals, such as chlorothalonil. The results were striking. Over multiple growing seasons, plants treated with sodium bicarbonate and oil showed an 85% to 95% reduction in powdery mildew, matching or even surpassing the suppression rates of the leading commercial fungicides. Black spot on roses, a disease notorious for its persistence, dropped by as much as 90%. In some trials, the bicarbonate solution outperformed copper sprays, which had been the industry standard for decades, but left behind toxic residues. Horst's published data, still cited by horticultural extension offices today, documented these outcomes in clear statistical terms. The formula was simple, the effect dramatic, and the cost negligible. Horst described the bicarbonate method as a breakthrough for home gardeners, one that delivered professional-level control without the environmental or financial burden of traditional chemicals. The study's title page, stamped with the Cornell seal, became a quiet touchstone for those seeking proof that a kitchen staple could stand shoulder to shoulder with the most advanced products on the market. A formula proven in a university greenhouse rarely makes it onto a garden center shelf. The reason is not hidden in the science. It is in the economics. Baking soda, or sodium bicarbonate, is a commodity. It has been in the public domain for over a century. No company can patent it, no matter how effective the recipe. There is no exclusive right to sell a box of soda, no way to lock in a profit margin. Compare that to the chemical aisle bestsellers. Chlorothalonil, the bright blue jug on the shelf, was patented by agrochemical giants in the 1960s. That patent opened the door to decades of exclusive sales. Even after it expired, brand power and complex formulations kept the price high. A single bottle can cost $25 or more, promising weeks of protection. Meanwhile, a 1-pound box of baking soda sits in the grocery for $1, enough for an entire season's worth of spray. The logic is simple. Companies invest in products that guarantee a return. Synthetic fungicides like chlorothalonil are not just more expensive, they are engineered for repeat purchase. Their formulas are proprietary, their labels stamped with warnings, and their marketing budgets dwarf anything spent on publicizing a kitchen remedy. Baking soda never stood a chance in that race. It cannot be patented, so it cannot drive recurring revenue. Instead, it remains a footnote in extension pamphlets and old gardening books while the store shelves fill with products designed to be bought again and again. The result is a marketplace where the cheapest, safest solution is also the least promoted, overshadowed by a business model that rewards complexity and exclusivity over simplicity and access. Every bottle of broad-spectrum fungicide promises protection, but the real cost often lies beneath the surface. When copper-based sprays or synthetic chemicals like chlorothalonil are applied, they do not just target powdery mildew or black spot on the leaves. They sweep through the garden like a wildfire, wiping out entire communities of beneficial fungi in the soil. Among the first casualties is trichoderma, a microscopic ally that shields plant roots from disease and helps break down organic matter. Studies in vineyard and orchard soils show that after a single round of chlorothalonil, trichoderma populations can drop by as much as 90%, and recovery may take weeks or even months. Mycorrhizal fungi, which form vital partnerships with plant roots, are not spared either. Their numbers can fall by half, leaving plants more vulnerable to drought and nutrient stress. Copper, once applied, does not disappear. Year after year, it accumulates in the topsoil. In long-term trials, copper levels have been measured at 100 to 500 milligrams per kilogram of soil, far above safe limits for earthworms or microbes. Over time, these residues stifle the very life that keeps soil fertile, leading to slower plant growth and weaker harvests. Dr. George Kowalchuk, a soil microbiologist, describes this process as a slow sterilization, shifting the underground world from a thriving fungal network to a barren landscape dominated by bacteria. Unlike baking soda, which acts only on the leaf surface and breaks down quickly, these chemicals leave a lasting mark. The garden may look healthy above ground, but underground, the foundation is eroding. The unseen toll of broad-spectrum sprays is measured not in immediate plant loss, but in the quiet disappearance of the microbes that make a garden resilient. A single spray of baking soda solution stays where it lands, on the leaf, at the front line of infection. Unlike commercial fungicides, which seep into the soil and ripple through every layer of garden life, baking soda's action is strictly local. It acts as a specialist, not a shock and awe campaign. This difference matters most for the world beneath the surface. Soil is not just dirt, it is a living network teeming with invisible allies. Among them, mycorrhizal fungi form partnerships with plant roots, trading nutrients for sugars and helping plants thrive through drought and disease. Trichoderma, another microscopic player, shields roots from pathogens and breaks down organic matter into food. Broad-spectrum fungicides do not recognize friend from foe. Copper and synthetic sprays kill powdery mildew, but they also wipe out these beneficial fungi. Studies show that after a single round of chlorothalonil, trichoderma populations can drop by as much as 90%, and mycorrhizal fungi by 50%. The result is a kind of underground sterilization. Plants lose their natural defenses and struggle to absorb nutrients. Soil microbiologists call this the nuclear option. The garden above may look clean, but the foundation is weakened. A baking soda spray, by contrast, is a sniper. It neutralizes the pathogen where it attacks on the leaf, while leaving the underground network untouched. The solution breaks down quickly with no residue to drift or accumulate. For the health of the garden as a whole, this targeted approach means less collateral damage and a stronger, more resilient ecosystem. The next step is simple: learning how to mix and use the formula safely, ensuring every spray hits its mark without harming the world below. 1 gallon of water forms the backbone of the recipe, providing enough volume to treat an entire row of squash or a full rose bed. Into this, a single tablespoon of baking soda is added, measured level, not heaping. This amount delivers a concentration of about 0.35 to 0.40% sodium bicarbonate, safely below the threshold where leaf burn becomes a risk, but strong enough to shift the pH out of the comfort zone for powdery mildew. Next comes the surfactant, 1 teaspoon of liquid dish soap. This isn't just for mixing convenience. The soap breaks the surface tension of the water, allowing the solution to spread evenly across the waxy surface of leaves. Without it, droplets would bead up and roll off, leaving dry patches where the fungus can regroup. The soap acts as a bridge, ensuring every spore is exposed to the alkaline shock. To keep the solution from washing away with the next morning's dew, a tablespoon of vegetable oil is stirred in. This oil acts as a sticker, helping the baking soda cling to the leaf surface for days at a time. Horticultural oil can be substituted for even better adhesion, but ordinary canola or sunflower oil works in a pinch. The combination of surfactant and sticker transforms a simple solution into a persistent barrier, holding the active ingredient in place through wind and light rain. Once the ingredients are combined, the mixture should be shaken or stirred until fully blended. This ensures the baking soda dissolves completely, with no gritty residue at the bottom and no clogs in the sprayer. The finished solution is poured into a clean spray bottle or garden sprayer, ready for use. Each component plays a role: water as the carrier, baking soda as the active agent, soap as the spreader, oil as the anchor. This is chemistry in action, measured by the spoonful and guided by decades of research and hands-on trial. Every safe spray begins with a test. Before treating an entire plant, select one healthy leaf and apply the solution. Wait 24 hours. If the leaf remains unharmed with no yellowing and no dry patches, the mix is ready for wider use. This simple step prevents accidental leaf burn, a risk that rises when concentrations creep above 1%, or when plants are already stressed by heat or drought. Timing matters as much as the recipe. Spray in the evening or on a cloudy day to shield leaves from the sun's intensity. Sunlight combined with oil and alkalinity can trigger phototoxicity, a chemical sunburn that leaves brown, scorched patches across foliage. Even a perfectly mixed solution can cause damage if applied in midday heat. Cooler shaded hours allow the spray to settle and dry slowly, reducing the chance of injury and giving the active ingredients time to work. Consistency is key for control. Powdery mildew and black spot release new spores every few days, so a single treatment rarely holds the line. Reapply the baking soda solution once a week through the growing season, or after heavy rain, which can wash away the protective layer. For persistent outbreaks, adjust to every 5 to 7 days, and always watch for signs of stress on the plants. Melinda Myers, a trusted voice in horticulture, reminds gardeners to observe their plants closely after each spray. If any sign of leaf burn appears, dilute the solution for the next round. The right balance, enough alkalinity to stop the fungus, and gentle enough to spare the leaf, comes from careful observation and small adjustments, not from doubling down on ingredients. With patience and a steady hand, the garden stays protected and the soil life below remains untouched. Every year, gardeners spend billions on chemical fungicides, yet a safe, proven remedy sits in nearly every kitchen. As concerns grow over soil health and toxic residues, the question shifts. Do we need more chemicals or do we need more knowledge? The answer lives in your pantry. Sometimes the simplest solution is the one worth fighting for. Let me know how this changes your garden in the comments.